Hey there, Eli here, and today we're going to go over the Maven fight. The Maven is the end boss that you fight in the Echoes of the Atlas expansion. In order to open her arena, you need to collect a Maven's Writ. You do this by collecting 10 Crescent Splinters, which you acquire by completing the Maven boss battles. If you're unfamiliar with this mechanic, go and check out my video's info kit for Ritual number 1 and 2. Just like with the Cyrus fight, for this one we're going to want to turn on our dialogue volume because again, like Cyrus, she announces what she's going to do before she does it. Let's cover the structure of the fight. There are 4 phases. In the first 3 phases, you're going to be first damaging the Maven, and then you'll be damaging the Nucleus. And in the 4th phase, you'll just be damaging the Maven. Now let's cover the attacks that you're going to run into in each phase. In Phase 1, the Maven has 3 potential special attacks in addition to her basic attack. The Maven's basic attack is a long-range single-hit move that can easily be dodged by moving side to side. When she says stand still, she jumps up into the air and she creates 2 tri-beams that move opposite one another. These can target you no matter where you are on the stage, and the further away from her you are when she casts it, the longer distance that the tri-beams cover. You can predict where the beams are going to come if you can see her, as they always appear on her left and right side in the direction she's facing. These beams hit multiple times per second. The next one is Cascade of Pain, where she is stationary and she shoots 5 ice balls at wherever you are. She doesn't move herself, so the further away from her you are, the easier this is to dodge. As you can see, running in a circle evades this move. You can also simply move back and forth side to side. And lastly, in Phase 1, she does have a special move where she says, mine. As you see here, she does a purple AoE explosion, which doesn't do any damage itself, but it calls all of these little orbs that the Nucleus has been spitting out to converge and track you. Once they get close enough to you, there is a short detonation window where they don't do damage, and then they explode. As you can see, you are easily able to run away from these, especially with a Quicksilver Flask, or you can teleport or use some kind of quick movement skill. Now, while the Maven is doing her special moves, you'll see the Nucleus rotating around the outer edge of the arena. While you're fighting the Maven in Phase 1, he's going to spit out 5 slow-moving balls across the stage in an arc, or he's going to shoot out a bunch of these little ice balls that turn into the floating orbs that you see rotating around the arena. If you run through these orbs while they're slowly rotating, you prevent the Maven from using her mine move, where she activates all of these floating orbs to converge and track you. And as you can see, you can easily run through these and detonate them without suffering any repercussions. And lastly, for the Nucleus, while you're fighting the Maven in Phase 1, he's going to shoot out these 3 orbs that collapse on each other first into smaller orbs that slowly track you. The longer these orbs are in existence, the faster they move, which allows you, the player, more opportunity to control where they end up. These are the 3 orbs that when they detonate, they create the void ground that stays on the stage, effectively lowering the space that you have to move around the arena. It's a highly effective strategy to run circles around the arena, detonating any of those floating orbs that happen to be there, if there are, and letting these smaller orbs pick up speed while they chase you. Pick a moment where the Maven has used one of her special abilities, and she's probably going to use one of her normal attacks, and then step right next to the edge of any other void ground that you have already placed, and maybe step into that void ground a little bit to overlap all of those balls. Because they've picked up so much speed, you don't have to spend that much time on the void ground to let them activate their detonation, which allows you to teleport away. Once you kill the Maven in Phase 1, the Nucleus will stop attacking, the Maven will disappear, and the Nucleus will come into the center of the ring, and you'll notice on the outside of the arena there are these 2 extra discs that have been rotating around. You'll want to find one of these and go to them right now, as the Nucleus is going to fire an AoE bubble that expands only into the normal radius of the arena that you've been working in so far. Let that explosion occur, and then you can re-enter the main arena. Take note, though, that on those extra arena discs, the one of which you were just standing on, you'll have 2 beams that attach to the Nucleus and slowly rotate around in the same counterclockwise direction. You don't want to touch these beams because they lower your max resistances and prevent you from regenerating. The Nucleus is now going to summon random boss monsters from maps. Your main focus here is to burn down the Nucleus and get rid of 33% of its life. Once you do this, you'll trigger the Maven to return, and we'll go back to a Phase 1-like scenario where you're fighting the Maven and the Nucleus, except there are new moves involved, so let's go over those. In Phase 2, there are 2 new attacks, one for the Maven and one for the Nucleus. The Maven in Phase 2 will now start saying death will not be an escape. This is her memory game. After she says death will not be an escape, she'll teleport to the middle of the arena and there will be some glowing bars above her head. This is a delay to allow you time to get into position. After this, she's going to highlight sections of the arena. It's broken out into thirds. So you have your up, left, and right sections. And what I do in this part is I make sure that I start in the first lit up zone. This takes away one of the places that I have to remember to go to. So for example, if she starts with right, up, left, if I'm already starting in the right section, I only have to remember up, right, up, left. This also cuts down on your travel time, which is important because there is a little orb that is expanding from where she is in the center of the arena, and if that reaches out to you and touches you, or you fail the memory game and go to a spot that she didn't say to go to, it will detonate, dealing massive amounts of damage. The new attack for the Nucleus while he's spinning around and you're fighting the Maven is going to be Death Made Real. What will happen is the Nucleus will stop moving and 4 purple beams will slowly highlight on the arena, aimed at where you were when it started doing the move. And after about 3 seconds, that beam will detonate, dealing massive amounts of damage in a straight line. While that's it for new special moves in Phase 2, you still have to deal with all of the moves that we learned from Phase 1. So managing where the Void Ground is going to be important. Running through the floating orbs that are sitting around the stage so that she doesn't use her Mine ability, which converges all of those orbs on you, is also something you might want to deal with. When we transition to fighting the Nucleus, we still have to run to the outer edge and allow the central arena to explode, and then run in and kill the Nucleus again for another 33% of its life while it summons boss monsters against you. But again, for Phase 2, when you deal that 33% damage to the Nucleus, it will wipe away all Void Ground again. Now in Phase 3, the Maven only gets one new attack, which is Do What I Say. This move only gets triggered when you are physically near her. She creates a small circle that slowly comes into full visual effect and then detonates. Now, while there's only that one new special move in this phase, when we kill the Maven and then transition to the Nucleus and deal the last 33% of life for the Nucleus, we transition into Phase 4 immediately. And the thing about this is that we don't get the Void Ground eliminated from the arena when we transition to Phase 4. So while you're allowed to kind of make mistakes with placing the Void Ground in Phases 1 and 2, you really want to take care to make sure that either you are bursting her down fast enough where the Nucleus doesn't throw out a lot of these orbs to begin with, or if you have to take your time because your build doesn't deal that much damage that quickly, you want to make sure that you are placing these orbs in such a way that they overlap as much as possible. Remember, the longer the orbs are on the stage chasing you, the faster they are, which allows you better positioning capabilities. So in Phase 4, we've killed the Nucleus, and it stays stationary in the middle of the arena, and it generates 5 spoke beams that rotate around the stage. Not only do these beams rotate around the stage in, again, a counterclockwise movement, the safe space that you can physically walk through alternates back and forth towards and away the Nucleus. The Maven also gains a new move here and also stops using a move. So she gains the Take This attack. When she says this, she stays stationary and she charges up a big fireball that eventually, once she releases it, shoots in a straight line towards whatever position you're in. So again, kind of like the Cascade of Pain, the further away you are from her when she fires this, the easier it is to dodge. Speaking of Cascade of Pain, she still does have this attack in this phase. And she also has her Stand Still Tri-Beam attack. She also will use her basic long-range attack. Lastly, for her special moves, she will use the Death Will Not Be an Escape memory game. Depending on the placement of the Void Ground in the previous phase, this memory game is going to be significantly more challenging. Keep in mind that the beams coming out of the Nucleus in Phase 4 do apply that same no regen and lowered max resistances debuff. So what's our strategy mentally for beating the Maven? First, getting used to all of these attacks, understanding the audio cues and what that means for us. It's important to keep in mind that in Phase 1 and 2, we get to have our Void Ground deleted from the arena. Because of this, Phase 1 and 2 has a bit more leeway for kind of messing up and making mistakes. However, in phase 3 is where you really need to start making some choices about when to use your veil skills, or whatever it is you need to set up for your max damage output. Essentially, in phase 3 and phase 4, you're asking yourself which one you want to spend more time in. If you use all of your burst skills, your veil skills, whatever it is you need to set up that you might not get again for the rest of the fight, in phase 3, you're not going to have as many void ground spots in phase 4. Maybe this helps you as a player, maybe this helps you as the character that you're playing as. Whichever it is, it's fine. But that is the reason why you would use veil skills in phase 3. If, like the character I'm showcasing the fight with here, is a high evasion and dodge build, maybe you don't care about phase 3 as much, you want to save your Veil Grace, for instance, for phase 4, like I do here, because I know that with maximum attack and spell dodge, I can just sit on the Maven and let her throw her attacks at me and not really care about it. This allows me as a Toxic Rain character to build up to my max pod stacks and deal as much damage output as I can. Because for me, I'd like to cut down on the time that she has to use the memory game in phase 4 as much as possible. There's not a right or wrong way to answer this phase 3 or phase 4 question, but what's important here is understanding that that is the question that's being asked of you by the fight. So once you get down their basic attacks and their special attacks, it leads to the ultimate question of which phase do you want to spend more time in, phase 3 or phase 4. So there you have it. That's the Maven fight, everything you need to know. It's also worth mentioning that it's possible the Awakening level does affect the chance to get a Maven's Orb, which is the chase item that you want to drop, along with the Elevated Sextant from this fight. So if you're going to run a bunch of Mavens, make sure you have Awakening level 9. And if you can't reach Awakening level 9, or you're not confident that your build can do it, I've also gotten Maven Orbs off of Awakening level 4. It's probably not the end of the world. But if you want your best shot at getting the rewards that you really want from this fight, then you might as well give it a shot. As always, reach out to me anytime. My socials are listed below in the video description. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. That helps me a lot as we're creeping up on our first goal of 1,000 subscribers. And until next time, stay sane, Exile.